Good morning. I want to thank you all today for being here and just listening to this. Today, I want to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, the masculinity in young men today, in today's generation. The way this started was kind of a complicated journey. Obviously, I had a great childhood, but whenever I was 11 years old, my brother was diagnosed with rhabdomyosarcoma, which is a type of soft tissue cancer that was in his arm. Whenever this happened, he traveled to Memphis, Tennessee, to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, where he got treatment with my dad being his caretaker. During this time, me and my mom lived at home together while I still tried to go to school and make life as normal as possible. And with my mother doing, my mother doing as great as she did and trying to make life as normal as possible, it was not the same without my brother and dad there. This journey was about a 3-year journey until 2021, where my brother actually passed away due to his cancer, which changed my life forever. In these 3 years, I learned a lot about masculinity and different influences in my life that impacted my life today. A lot of these influences are my grandpa, my dad, even my math teacher. All of them have been amazing men and role models for not only for me, but for every other young man that lives in today's generation. They've shown me and they've shown others how they can impact the world without even knowing it. I kind of just want to talk about how today's world is also messed up in the way of treating young men, where we kind of get pushed around in different areas of expected to do different things. We're expected to be strong and available and always there to protect others. And while this is true, we should be doing that, we're also not allowed to show emotions or be vulnerable and even not cry. The other side of this is we also need to be weak and vulnerable and only be able to show emotions. And even though that is not necessarily true, we also do need to have a part of that. The meaning of masculinity, I feel like, are these 5 points that I'm trying to make today. Masculinity should be defending and protecting others and loved ones, controlling your emotions in a way that is mature, controlling them, especially with today's social media and today's world. Giving and earning respect with others, and being comfortable with who you are. First, I want to talk about defending and protecting others. Defending and protecting others is kind of a broad term, especially because it can mean physically, emotionally, and mentally. This defending and protecting others, everybody thinks, oh, if I can defend them, I can just fight off a bully. And even though that is true, sometimes the bully is not just there to punch them. Sometimes it's words, sometimes it's getting in their head. And sometimes it's not even who you would expect to be the bully. Being a man is someone who is able to recognize that, again, physically, emotionally, and mentally. The bully can do almost all three. And so a man is strong enough, smart enough to be able to recognize that, but also know how to defend it, knowing how to take care of it, knowing what to do, when to do, and even though this can be hard, and again, I'm still working on this, for every situation it's different. Defending and protecting others, that is a big part of it, while also defending and protecting yourself. A big part of it, defending and protecting yourself, again, with all three ways of physically, emotionally, and mentally. A big part of it is mental. Just because if you're mentally not where the other people, where the bully is, where you know where you stand, then physically and emotionally you will not be there either. So all three of these kind of coincide with each other. My second point is controlling emotions. Two of these, like a bunch of these emotions, especially in today's world, is hard because you never know what to do with them. And you're never taught what to do with them unless you have a positive and great influence. Your emotions, especially as a teenager, can be all over the place, from being sad and depressed to being joyful and happy. Emotions can also mean differently for everybody. Controlling your emotions is a big part about knowing what to do, where, and when. Like I talked about earlier, knowing when to cry, knowing when to help others, knowing when to be strong is a big part of today's society of being a young man. Whenever I was going through my journey of my brother being diagnosed with cancer, I always tried to be there for him. I always tried to help my mom whenever she was at home. Even though I was little, I didn't know what I could do, but I tried to do what I could. Going through all of this, I didn't know how to take care of myself, which is the biggest part of it. Because if I don't take care of myself, I don't know how you're supposed to take care of others. First, you need to take care of yourself before taking care of others. Because if you don't process what you're going through, your emotions first, then you can't help others with theirs. I've learned this through friendships and hard times. Just if two people are going through hard times and neither of them will process it, then it's not going to turn out the best. It's not going to turn out in a great situation. Ways to help this is just being emotionally vulnerable with others, being able to talk to others, being able to sit down with somebody and tell them how you are feeling. Not being able to blame shift all your problems onto someone or something else. Not moving all your problems, just sitting there and being like, this is what is happening, and this is how I can help handle it, or getting advice about how you can handle it. Third point today is today's world and social media. A big part of today's world is social media and how it connects the world. Even though cell phones are a great thing and help us communicate a lot, it can also be a bad thing, especially for teenage boys, teenage men. This can be a hard time because of things that are posted on Instagram or Snapchat or even Facebook. Just posting locations or what you're doing or anything like that. And a big part of this is knowing what you are doing. And the social media, you see a lot of it with, oh, I'm supposed to act this way, or the media has influenced me to act this way, whereas that should not be the case at all. A big part of social media is it is draining young men's minds about how to think. It is draining them with, it's putting in their own kind of calculations of what they should think and how they should do things, whereas young men, a big part of it is learning how to think on your own. Helping with that is having different ways of controlling it, not getting addicted to social media, not spending all night scrolling or doing whatever, but talking to people with face to face. Going up and giving a firm handshake, talking to someone about how their day was, and not just looking on social media and posting about it. I think that's what a lot of today's young men and today's generation of young men has become, of just, oh, I don't need to interact with people because I have it all on my phone. Whereas that's also a lot of what has brainwashed them. that's an extremely hard topic with today's generation. But the next point would be giving and earning respect. A big phrase in my life was always respect your elders, and that is very true. But you also need to learn how to give and take respect. Respect is not about trying to be likable or trying to do this for this person. Respect is about knowing who you are and how you can help someone. Respect is knowing what you can do for someone. They talk about respect being trying to be as likable as you can for them. Trying to be kind of just doing whatever you can to please them, please whoever you want, and that's respect. But that is not the case. Respecting your elders is an amazing thing, but you shouldn't always be doing what they want, when they want it, how they want it, kind of thing. You need to be your own person, and you need to know what to do, when to do it. My fifth point today would be being comfortable who you are, which the other 4 points have kind of talked about this. But being a young man in today's society, the hardest part about being a young man in today's society is being comfortable with who you are and being confident. And whenever Dr. Custer was talking about my bio, I'm part of Youth Resources. That is an amazing thing that has taught me a lot about leadership and self-confidence. My school, my teachers, my friends, a lot of them have taught me about self-confidence and leadership. They've taught me who I am. They've helped me teach me who I need to become, who I can become to become a young man. Being a young man and being comfortable with who you are is about knowing what you want and how you want it, but also being flexible with what and how to do it. Being a young man, being in high school, for all high schoolers, it's hard because you're expected to go to college for the next 4-6 years. Then you're expected to go into your career. If that's not what you want, if you want to go into a different job, if you want to do something else, if you want to go into military, that is being comfortable with who you are. Just because you're not following the regular path of today's society. And that's a big part about today's problem, is being comfortable with who you are and following the straight line path of everybody else. My last point in today is probably my biggest, but having what I talked about earlier of positive influences of men in your life, especially for young, growing up teenage men. I talked about my grandpa, my dad, and like even my math teacher. All of them are completely different, and all of them have helped me in different ways because of what they've done. One of my biggest influences, he has taught me how to be emotionally vulnerable with helping others, how to be there for others, how to help them, and how to be mature about it. You can't just sit there and listen and be like, yeah, that's a good story. Anyway, that's not how the world works. You need to sit there and listen to them and help them through it, but also you need to sit there and listen to them and make sure that they know that you are there for them. They need to make sure that you are there for them, not only to listen, but if you need to give advice to them. And that is what I've learned about becoming a young man, is knowing the difference between listening and giving advice, because that's also a big part of it. A big influence, another one of my big influences, has taught me how to be strong in certain situations. They've taught me how not only to be emotionally vulnerable, but also knowing when and how to do things. Of knowing when to be there for others, but also knowing when to be there for yourself, like I was talking about earlier. They've taught me how helping yourself first, knowing what you are going through, handling your emotions, will help others with handling theirs, and with you helping handle theirs. My other influence, they've taught me so much about loving. And love is a word in today's society that I feel like is misused a lot, especially with young men, because love is defined as wanting the best for someone else. No matter what it gets you, wanting the best for someone else. And I think my other big influence has done that for me. He has shown me love and wanting the best for me no matter what happens. And that is what I love about him, because I hope he has the best as well. I hope more young men in today's society will use that word love in a more proper way. And I hope more people in today's society will use it towards young men in today's society in a proper way. That's kind of all I had today, and I want to thank you guys for being here.